Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back into another edition of Keytime Sports. Please like, comment, share, subscribe to Keytime Sports right here on YouTube, Key City Sports on Instagram, and the Key on Millions.co. Here's my media feed, and here is my profile. Now, let's get back into these games that were very intriguing for college football throughout this past Saturday. Now, the first game was the USC Trojans and the Oregon Ducks. And I said coming into this game that I was not totally sure and I was not confident in USC Trojans defense, and they give up 6 touchdowns. Now I'm gonna tell y'all something. The USC Trojans defense, I'm gonna give y'all their schedule and how their defense has fared before they faced the Oregon Ducks. Now, as y'all can see, the game before the Ducks, they gave up 21 points, but that was against Iowa. A team against Iowa, they can always win because Iowa, they have trouble scoring consistently. Then you play Northwestern, Nebraska. Then before those games, you played 3 ranked teams, but I could say that it's an argument where an argument can be made where Illinois shouldn't have been ranked 23rd, but that's nor here nor there. But with this game, I keep telling y'all, Lincoln Riley, he is not focused on defense at all. He isn't. Because one thing that I can say about the defense in this case, and as I'm going to tell everybody, Jordan Mayava, 25 of 43, 306 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Okay, he did throw 2 interceptions. Dante Moore, 22 of 30, 257 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Dante Moore, he threw his interception too. But when it comes to the rushing game, it was so unbalanced. You had Oregon have 179 yards rushing to the USC Trojans 52 yards rushing. It got into a point in this game where the USC Trojans threw the ball 12 consecutive times. They didn't even run the ball. They didn't. And as y'all can see, when it comes to third down defense, third down defense, 7 of 16 for the USC Trojans offensively on third down. And for the Oregon Ducks, 7 of 12. That was very, very efficient. Now, one thing I can say about the USC Trojans defense, I told y'all when I was giving y'all the statistics that more times than not, 75% of the time, the USC Trojans defense allowed their opponents to score touchdowns. And that is exactly what they did. Now let me get to these penalties. Because really this game was supposed to go either way. When you see these penalties, when you see the USC Trojans have 8 penalties for over 100 yards, well, 103 to be exact, and then you have the Oregon Ducks have 11 penalties for 130 yards. I just looking at that seemed like the Oregon Ducks should have lost this game. But there were a couple of plays in this game was really the telltale sign when it comes to how the USC Trojans lost this game. So I'm gonna show y'all a couple of clips, and then I'm gonna give y'all my reaction to those clips and tell y'all what is the future outlook for both of these teams to end this season, to end the regular season. So, 1st and 10 on this play. Dante Moore, he passes it off to his running back. And as you can see here, the USC Trojans defense, as far as yards per play, they allowed 6 yards per play. Here it is, a 3rd and 2, down the middle for a touchdown. And right there, this was late in the third quarter. It was 35-21. And as you can see, this matchup right here, the tight end, number 18, he is unaccounted for. See, the safety doesn't come over until later on in the play. So next drive, 3rd and 7 for USC Trojans, and the quarterback gets sacked, fumbles the ball, but luckily the Trojans fall back on it. And this is where the defense is caught in a bind for the USC Trojans. You got to get off the field. This is second and 5. They got to stop. But ultimately, 3rd down and 9, you got to stop there. But you couldn't score. Now, down here, they scored a touchdown. But later on, they weren't able to get that one crucial stop that they needed. And we can see, like I've been saying, Lincoln Riley, he is an offensive coordinator. He is an offensive coordinator as a head coach. This is what got him fired from Oklahoma, if anybody can remember back that far. And as far as you see, this is why I say, this is where the questionable play calling comes in at. I'm gonna tell y'all something. They went for it they went for it as far as the 2-point conversion, right? You have a whole quarter to go. It's only 11 minutes, 32 seconds in the fourth quarter. It's still early. For me, they didn't have to go for the 2-point conversion. They didn't. And this was really the tight end should have came down with it. But Lincoln Riley, he shouldn't have went for it for the 2-point conversion. Now, this is where you put your defense in a bind, where you're down by 8, and all of a sudden, if the Oregon Ducks score, which they did, you get the ball back, and the game is pretty much over. Y'all see that? The game was pretty much over at that point when they scored the touchdown. So I believe, and I'm gonna just cut these clips right now. I believe that in big games with Lincoln Riley at the helm, the USC Trojans defense has failed to produce. They have failed to produce, whether it's against teams like Oregon, Illinois, because they did lose that game versus Illinois, and also other teams that they lost to. The other team that lost to, I'm still trying to, Notre Dame. They haven't shown up. The Trojans haven't shown up in big games at all this season. And future outlook for the USC Trojans, their season is definitely over. You will not make it to the college football playoff, and you are a 3-loss team. Oregon, 10-1 right now. They have a chance at competing for the Big Ten championship game, and pretty much, I believe Oregon, they are the odds-on favorite to win the Big Ten championship. But that's you also have Ohio State to look for too with that. So I don't know if Oregon gonna get there, but if they do, they are gonna face either Indiana, which Indiana's already beaten Oregon, or they are going to face Ohio State, and Ohio State beat Oregon last season. So that's all I have to say for the USC Trojans and the Oregon Ducks. The next game I am going to cover is, this was really the shocker of the weekend. After this game at Pittsburgh, Georgia Tech, I said it in my reaction video. Pittsburgh shocked the hell out of everybody, because we all were expecting Georgia Tech to win this game. Georgia Tech was favored in this game and everything. But one thing I can say is Georgia Tech, they came out flat. They did. They came out flat. You had Haynes King. He threw 2 interceptions. I believe the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets had a fumble in the third quarter, so that didn't go well. And you had Mason Henschel, 20 or 27, 226 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. The running game for the Pittsburgh Panthers was 186 yards to Georgia Tech's 121 yards. Here is the receiving. The receiving was up and down in this game. Nobody as far as a receiver in this game for either team cracked 100 yards. The closest one was Kenny Johnson. He cracked 90 with 91. But Pittsburgh, even though they lost to Notre Dame, the head coach said that the focus was on Georgia Tech and Miami. And as you all can see, Pittsburgh, they are a 3-loss team. They are. I don't see them making the college football playoff. I just don't. And when you look at it, you see that third down, they were 5 of 13 on third down. But the reason why they were 5 of 13 on third down is because they were gaining 5 yards per play on first and second down. And now when you are gaining 5 and 7 yards per play on first and second down, you are going to be in a lot of second and shorts, third and shorts, and fourth and shorts. Now, when it comes to Pittsburgh, do we really see Pittsburgh, being a powerhouse? No, we don't. We don't. We see Pittsburgh making it to a bowl game, and if they win it, great. If they don't, hey, season was still great. But the Pittsburgh Panthers, their ceiling is just a bowl game appearance. No matter if they win or lose, just a bowl game appearance is their ceiling. And for Georgia Tech, if Georgia Tech didn't lose this game, they would have a chance at solidifying themselves in the college football playoff. Because if Georgia Tech got this win over Pitt, they would be 10-1, and Georgia Tech, they would have given the committee a hard time on their hands, because college football playoff with a 10-1 Georgia Tech team, you would have had to put them somewhere in those 12 spots. In one of those 12 spots, you would have had to put Georgia Tech in there. Now, I'm not saying that Georgia Tech, as far as their playoff hopes, are done, but Georgia Tech didn't do themselves any favors with losing to Pittsburgh. Now, I'm gonna show y'all a few clips in this game where the game pretty much turned on its head. This is the middle part of the fourth quarter. Pittsburgh is up by 14. It's 4th and 9, and Georgia Tech, they need something to break their way. I was surprised when this happened, but I'm going to just let y'all see this. Pittsburgh, they ran a fake. I was surprised that they ran a fake. And if I was Pittsburgh, I would have just punted the ball to Georgia Tech, because your defense had been playing well up to that point. Really have been playing well up to that point, and you do not need to put your defense in a physical bind because you're on a short field. Because when you go look at this, Haynes King, he goes back to pass, and within one throw, the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets are already in the red zone. So Pittsburgh, they could have lost this game. Now, I believe Georgia Tech, they took too much time coming down here. I believe so. They took too much time coming down here, and more than likely, Georgia Tech, when it comes to those turnovers that Haynes King threw, those loomed large in the last few minutes of this game. Now, look at this, 3rd and 4. You need a stop. Georgia Tech didn't get the stop, And that was basically game over right there. That was basically game over. So Pittsburgh, 8-3 right now. They finish out the season with Miami on Saturday. And what is going to happen with the ACC? Because I mean the ACC. You have four teams in the ACC that have 3 losses. And what will the College Football Playoff Committee do? Because I said at the start of this season, there is going to be a scenario where there will at least be one 3-loss team in the playoff. One 3-loss team in the playoff somewhere, and somehow, somewhere, it is going to be that. But if Georgia Tech wins next week, and then you have all of these other ACC teams lose, because I was looking at something Saturday night where the Virginia Cavaliers, they still have a realistic chance at getting to the ACC championship game. Now, Virginia Cavaliers, nobody's been focused on the Virginia Cavaliers all season. They haven't. Nobody has been. But when we look at, like I said, for the ACC championship, I said Georgia Tech, Miami, Pittsburgh, but I don't see there's so many scenarios when it comes to the ACC. You can't count anything out. You can't. You can't count anything out. And one thing about it is, y'all know me. I've come in here for weeks and I've said the same exact thing. The ACC is probably the weakest link in college football as far as the weakest conference. Because you've got at least 3 teams in the ACC that have 3 losses. You got a 4-loss team in the ACC in Duke, and nobody is expecting Duke to do anything. Nobody. So that's all I have to say for the Pittsburgh Panthers and the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. The next game I am going to cover is the Saturday night contest between Big 12 powerhouses, BYU Cougars, and the Cincinnati Bearcats. Now, a couple weeks ago, I covered the BYU Cougars and the Cincinnati Bearcats. Cincinnati don't have a good defense. BYU, at times, they have a struggling offense, and that showed in this game. Bear Batchmere, 15 of 25, 127 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Brendan Sorsby, 25 of 38, 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Let me tell y'all something. I don't know what to take away from BYU. I just don't, because only teams that they have played of significance, I'm going to go to their schedule. Only teams that BYU has played of significance is Utah and Texas Tech. And they won versus Utah, but lost versus Texas Tech. And they finish out the season with Central Florida. That is just going to be that's going to be a tune-up game for them. So they are going to finish the season 11-1. And the committee, they have another hard decision to make when it comes to putting the BYU Cougars in the college football playoff. Now, I already showed y'all who the BYU Cougars have beaten. Cincinnati, I'm pretty much done talking about them. I talked about them a couple weeks ago, said that they wouldn't have a chance at making the college football playoff, and they lost on Saturday night. They are 7-4, and now their season is over. The only thing that they have going for them, the Cincinnati Bearcats, is getting to a bowl game, because they are bowl eligible. They have won 7 games. And as you all can see, third down efficiency was really the telltale sign in this game. Third down efficiency for the BYU Cougars, they were 7 of 14. The Cincinnati Bearcats were 4 of 13. Total yards 392 to 387. Time of possession 38 minutes for BYU to 21 minutes for the Cincinnati Bearcats. And as y'all can see, I'm gonna show y'all some clips. Really, this game, I just fast forward to the fourth quarter. The last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter was really where the game was won at. And as y'all can see, there's only gonna be a few clips of this game. First and 10, BYU up 20-7, and Cincinnati, they are pretty much in hurry up offense. So Sorsby back to pass. He throws it all the way down the field, and that pass went to the 15-yard line. And also, when it comes to, they were in the red zone. This was 3rd and 14. They get a touchdown. Now you're down 20-14. But as I was looking at this game, I was saying the Bearcats defense can't get a stop. And this is exactly what happened. Do y'all see this? Y'all see this wide open lane for a touchdown? And that was pretty much game over right there. Pretty much game over. So now, when we get to this point, BYU Cougars, 10-1. What can the BYU Cougars? I'm going to tell y'all something. The BYU Cougars, I do not want to cover a college football playoff game with them if they play against a team like the Texas A&M Aggies or a team of that caliber. I believe the Indiana Hoosiers can beat not Indiana Hoosiers. I believe the Indiana Hoosiers can beat the BYU Cougars. I do. Now, one thing I can say about college football this week, it was pretty much mellow. It really was. It was pretty much mellow. It was. It was pretty much mellow. Now, one thing I can say is the one thing I can say is the future outlooks for BYU and Cincinnati are vastly different. You got one team that's going to the playoff. Well, that's a shoo-in to make it to the playoff. And you got the Cincinnati Bearcats. When it comes to schedule concerns, Cincinnati, they didn't have it. They didn't have it. BYU, they do, but BYU, when they play top tier competition, they are going to lose. So that's all I have to say about college football, week 13 of college football. Those are my reactions. And remember, please like, comment, share, subscribe to Keytime Sports right here on YouTube, Key City Sports on Instagram, thekeyonmillions.co. Here is my profile. Here is my media feed. And here is my media feed. And everybody, please like, comment, share, subscribe. And remember, one last thing. The key is always on time.